나머지 okay. पानंदे गुरु नाम जारानो राबिनंदे सानंदा शिता शिवा आत्मा सुखा बाबोते निहोशरयासे जांगालिका यामाने samsara hala hala mohasham tiai Bahu Purushwagaram Shamkhachakra Sitharinam Sasura Shira Samshvatam Pranamami Patanjalima Switching.
Reed says to become a household name in the U.S., Uniqlo will have to overcome several barriers. For starters, it has to compete with everyone.
By that, I mean Zara, H&M, Omega, even the Gap, J.Crew. Those are sort of the conventional competitors.
30 seconds.
They're also going up against Walmart and Target because people know that they can walk into those big-box retailers and get decent clothes at a price that they're not going to Walmart.
That's what's on a recent edition of the Big Take Asia podcast. Listen to the full episode on Apple, Spotify, the Bloomberg Business app, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Experience vibrant senior living with award-winning services and great senior living communities. Properties is an essentially resource not amenities, daily programs, exciting social and cultural events, and delicious chef-prepared meals. That's not all. New residents also enjoy complimentary transportation, safety, security, and high-quality care. Brightview Senior Living Communities. Learn more about the possibilities at brightviewseniorliving.com.
What do pain and love right abdomen mean? What does that even mean? What the?
Health information can be confusing, but it doesn't have to be. Experts in the field of medicine break it down and answer your questions on health and so avoid confusion. Stop jumping to conclusions and get answers you can trust. Watch or listen on YouTube and available wherever you get your podcasts. Health Yeah by Stony Brook Medicine. Health.storybrookedmedicine.edu/podcasts.
Spring showers, epic off-road adventures. So bring on the fun. Bring on the spring at the Honda Spring event. Honda vehicles are built for exploring. Rugged Honda Pilot, Ridgeline, CR-V, and Passport. Road Bikes. Or not. All from the 2025 Kelly Blue Book Best Value Brand.
Unit's classic rock hits. Only the best in high-octane awesomeness. We're talking rock gods like Led Zeppelin, Kiss, AC/DC, Slayer, and so many more. So for those of you about to rock, search classic rock hits or ask your smart device to play classic rock hits on Tune. Biggest classic rock hits do just that. They hit hard. And on TuneIn's classic rock hits, you'll find only the best in high-octane awesomeness. We're talking rock gods like Led Zeppelin, Kiss, AC/DC,
about to rock. Search classic rock hits or ask your smart device to play classic rock hits on tune.
Jack FM is now streaming commercial-free on TuneIn Premium.
Jack, you're killing me.
Upgrade to TuneIn Premium and get Jack FM commercial-free.
Spring showers bring epic off-road adventures. So bring on the mud and bring on the spring at the Honda Spring Event. Honda vehicles are built for exploring with the rugged Honda Pilot, Ridgeline, CR-V, and Passport. Road might stop. You're not done. All for the 2025 California Best Value Brand.
Based on 2025 consumer choice awards from Kelly Global, visit KBB.com for more information.
Spring showers bring epic off-road adventures. So bring on the mud and bring on the spring at the Honda Spring Event. Honda vehicles are built for exploring with the rugged Honda Pilot, Ridgeline, CR-V, and Passport. Road might stop. You're not done. All from the 2025 Kelly Blue Book Best Value Brand.
Based on 2025 consumer choice awards from Kelly Global, visit KBB.com for more information.
Injured in a car crash? Call the 8 for a free consultation. Your Salino attorney looks out for your physical, financial, and personal needs. At Salino Law, we pay no fees unless we win. And we know how to win. Injured in a car crash? Call the 8.
Bloomberg Business App and Bloomberg.com.
Families are fine about what people can do, not where they learn to do. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. Skills First Hiring helps you seek out what others miss. Learn how to know stars. Scan through alternative routes. Let your story unfold and gain a competitive advantage. Because hiring managers who study the skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. Hire Skills First. Learn why at heatherhenderson.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
Bloomberg Audio Studios.
Radio news.
This is the Podcast Spotlight Hour on Bloomberg Radio.
I'm Michelle Hussain, and you're listening to some highlights from the Michelle Hussain Show podcast on Bloomberg Radio. Today, I'm speaking with Rani Balogi, who's been one of Pakistan's top diplomats, on the role our country is playing in the war with Iran. There's also been a bit of tightrope walking, hasn't there, for Pakistan in this period, in that it, condoled over the killing of the supreme leader and also said to Iran that its attacks on the Gulf were regrettable. I do also want to ask you about Pakistan's self-interest in this, because in this last month, how badly has the country been affected by the energy disruption? What have you seen play out around you in Islamabad?
This is very high stakes for Pakistan because of the economic pain that Pakistan had begun to feel already and could see that a protracted conflict would bring even more economic pain. So although Pakistan didn't get into rationing of oil, we didn't see queues at petrol pumps in the capital or elsewhere. But we did see the spike in the oil price. The government had to raise the price for oil. And of course, the government announced a series of austerity measures because it wanted to conserve fuel. Remember that Pakistan imports almost 90% of its oil requirements from the Gulf countries. So again, if the conflict had prolonged, the economic damage at a time when Pakistan economy in many cases is very fragile, very weak, very reliant on program, it could have blown our economy off course if the war had continued.
And schools have been closed. It has been too expensive for some people to get to work, so there have been all kinds of hardships of that kind, what it means for people's incomes. Let's talk then about this 10 or 15-point plan. Iran is going into these talks with very ambitious, some would say outlandish demands, and at the same time, President Trump is saying the military objectives have been met.
Right now, both sides have a narrative says that they've achieved their objectives, that they've been victorious. Both sides are saying that. And I think both sides know that their demands or conditions or terms for these negotiations are maximalist. So the question is, and I think it's hard to answer that question right now, is whether they could find sufficient common ground. Because, Vishal, they did find common ground when Oman was mediating. As the Omanis foreign minister said so many times, they were close to a deal at that time. And then suddenly, in the midst of negotiations, America decided to join Israel in attacking Iran. So that part perhaps can be sort of, in a way, they can go back to that kind of an agreement. But the additionality is provided by the Strait of Hormuz. Because that now becomes central to the negotiation. And there, you can see the position of a Baghdad. Keep changing your mind is what you asked. If I said, you said this last time, and it may change in the next 2 days. I can't guarantee that. But he's saying he'd like to work with Iran to regulate or operate the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians are being asked at having to work with England, but you can't go wrong with Iran. But they're saying there's no charge fees now. I mean, this has been a free ride. And we don't charge fees for whatever maritime traffic takes place through the strait. So I think, again, maximalist positions, we don't know the kind of agreement they'll reach, because this now will become very central to a comprehensive settlement.
We don't know what kind of agreement they'll reach, or its chances of being anything lasting. I mean, one thing, for example, we know there's a difference is on Lebanon. Pakistan coming to Shahbaz Sharif saying Lebanon, the Israeli war in Lebanon, is part of this, and Israel saying very clearly that it is not.
I think the big question is whether Israel will sabotage the agreement or the ceasefire. So Lebanon is only part of it. I mean, the major part is that concerns the ceasefire between the United States and Iran. So if they were to sabotage it and place all their homework on continued attacks on Iran, and then some exposing Trump's inability, if he's unable, that is, or unable, to constrain and restrain Israel, then it will become a very complex and challenging situation. So I think whereas if Trump shows that he can restrain Israel, he can control and contain Israel, that is the big sort of question, I think. And we don't have an answer to that yet.
So even though there are many unknowns in this, what does your gut instinct tell you about the chances of this process in Islamabad leading to something that averts the return to a war, or even just brings some more stability to the global economy?
I'd like to be optimistic, and my optimism, I think, is centered on the following. Because both sides know that there is no end for anything, including themselves, if there was a relapse into fighting. Both sides are in a position right now to sort of proclaim that we've achieved our objectives. They may not be able to do that if there is, again, a recurrence of war. So, that will provide a strong incentive to both sides to try and underwrite a deal. So, I think my optimism pays off in the sense that, I hope they're able to arrive at a settlement. Because they can't keep going to war every 7 months. I mean, they can, but I think the costs are piling up, and will pile up.
But also, Iran has really discovered its power, hasn't it? Perhaps it always knew that its power was there. It's everyone else who's discovered it. But that dimension, the Strait of Hormuz, this uniquely placed part of the world, appears to have been a dimension that the Americans did not foresee, did not think through together.
Yes, absolutely. I think the Americans made several miscalculations, and this was one of them. One of the miscalculations was a thought that the Iranians would simply, once their leaders have been decapitated or assassinated, the Iranian regime would just collapse. It would happen. So there were a series of miscalculations, including the fact that the Iranians would get so much leverage by controlling the Strait of Hormuz. So, But ultimately and fundamentally, now read about this. The US historically underestimates the counterculturalism. It's done that throughout history. Did that in Vietnam, did that in Afghanistan, did that in Iraq. You now focus in Iran. They really thought that by attacking Iran, the people of Iran, the dissidents, those who oppose the regime, the right. What has the opposite effect? People close ranks. They forget the internal differences, they come together. Because the story force of nationalism is what motivates them to become a more unified nation. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, even in Afghanistan, Taliban weren't exactly the most popular people in that country. And yet, 20 years, they managed to, well, they fought to beat the United States, but prevented from winning.
Is that what you hope that the United States learns this time? Because you've worked with successive American administrations. You were in the United States as Pakistan's ambassador when 9/11 took place, which meant that you were there when the Afghanistan engagement began, and that drew Pakistan into the US military and political order for many years. And you've also seen the start of what became the build-up to war in Iraq.
Yes, I was there in Washington, and I remember the early days after 9/11. It was a tremendous, horrific tragedy when they said the helicopter testing Baghdad. But what my country's officials privately told me then, because I had done in these early days, was that don't go and occupy Pakistan. We understand you want to take some kind of military action, but it should be, in the words of Cadet President, short and surgical. So he even said at that time, don't rely on the occupation. Why? Because we have experience in this region, and we know that people who resist the outsider, who will resist foreign occupation, and that's exactly what happened. Now, whether the US learns this lesson, and it's a paradox, because here is a country where I've spent many years visiting Iraq, which I think sort of takes pride in its own country, where people are sort of flag-waving, patriotic, so what store is put along with that, and yet they don't understand that other countries and people, even out of their country, are anarchists. They want to protect their country.
More from my conversation with Marina Lodi on Iraq. I'm Shelter Singh, and this is Replay.
On a recent edition of the Odd Lots podcast, Joe Weisenthal and Joyce Galloway speak with former Greenhill CEO Scott Bond, who explains what investment bankers actually do.
What's with all the political degrees going into making electromagnetic
Business exploded suddenly with massive amounts of transactions. There aren't investment bankers. You're not just going to hire more people who are 22 years old to train them. You need someone who's 26 or 28 or 30 years old who actually has kind of been around business. They have some skills to learn, but they bring other skills to the table. And so they brought in new lawyers, including myself, as kind of a way of sort of ramping up the scale of the scheme. There was such a growth in transaction activity. That's why a lot of lawyers made that move.
You mentioned, okay, if you used to be in the position where you could conceptualize something, and then you're a smart whiz kid staying up all night going, how does this thing work?
I think maybe the dirty little secret of the industry in terms of how the sausage is actually made is that the actual building of a model, creation of a math of saying why it makes sense or doesn't make sense to buy something at a certain share price, that takes a limited amount of time. The fiddling with the PowerPoint pages that express that information, so which makes just the right close, just the right price, just the right color theme, and things like that. Bankers tend to be perfectionists, and so they will fiddle with that for a very long time. A lot of times, if you ask people who are in the early part of their careers, like, what are you really doing when you're there? Like, it's very often it's fine-tuning math that was done long ago.
That's what's on a recent edition of the Odd Lots podcast. Listen to the full episode on Apple, Spotify, the Bloomberg Business app, or anywhere you get your podcasts.
This is your only 24-hour source for world market and breaking business news. Radio. Coming up, the latest market news from Bloomberg. First,
through very intensive negotiation, and towards the end we hit a president, and we've met every point we've used, except for the fact that they refused to give up their nuclear ambition, and that's the only point, frankly, for me, that was the most important point by far.
The president has said that he is a blockade industry for years. On CNN, Senator Warren had much danger.
Look, anything that's 500 degrees centigrade that you can put a bomb, a mine on, you're not taking out British uranium bombs.
This CBS News confirms most Americans are unsettled by the war.
Well, it's just that's how this war is making you feel. The top answers people give are worry and stress.
Andreas Levante, CBS's director of elections and campaigns. CBS News started with the break from the campaign.
And I'm Molly Brixton, the Bloomberg Commission. Here's some of the stories we're watching. President Trump says the U.S. plans to blockade the Strait of Hormuz after talks collapsed with Iran this weekend in Pakistan. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton supports him.
If no Gulf Arab war gets out, no Iranian war gets out. Let's see how they feel about that in Tehran.
Bolton on Bloomberg this weekend. A blockade would sever a key financial lifeline for Iran, which has continued to export at levels similar to before the war, while benefiting from surging crude prices. Meantime, Saudi Arabia says it's restored full pumping capacity of its East-West pipeline to 70 million barrels a day, rehabbing violated oil exports through the Red Sea following the strike last week. The kingdom has ramped up its production since the war started in February to get around the near closure of Hormuz. Here at home, the war pushed inflation higher, mostly thanks to higher fuel prices, and that pinching American profits. Jack Lawrence in Indiana.
What are we getting? We're ruining our position in the world. We're being the bad guys. We're running the world economy and we're gaining nothing.
According to AAA, the national average is now 4 Democrats. Now, for concerns focusing the week ahead, here's Bloomberg's Karen Moxley.
Goldman Sachs kicks off the Wall Street quarterly earnings rush on Monday, with trading revenue and credit conditions in focus amid geopolitical tensions. We'll also get a look at existing home sales. Tuesday, JP Morgan Chase, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo report, and we get another look at inflation with the producer price index. Bank earnings continue Wednesday with Morgan Stanley and Bank of America, and the Federal Reserve releases its beige book. Thursday, the weekly report on initial jobless claims, a revenue reduction, and earnings from Netflix. Here in Moscow.
Making playing video games all day is a waste of time, but the federal government now thinks it could be a runway towards a new career path. Bloomberg's Nathan Aver explains from Washington.
It's not a game, it's a career. That's the fact of this new ad campaign from the Federal Aviation Administration and Transportation Department, pitching gamers to be air traffic controllers. It starts with the Xbox logo, then shifts to flashy graphics, and the gamers pay free for this all along. Tap it for 6-figure salaries. It's an unconventional recruitment tactic, but the agency say that's the point. Air Force will switch short on 3,000 fully certified controllers. In Washington, I'm Nathan Hager, Bloomberg Radio.
Global news 24 hours a day and whenever you want it with Bloomberg.
Help DEA keep our communities safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take Back Day, Saturday, April 25th. Take action right now on wellness and counting all your medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find the patients in your area at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to hold your states. Your prescription drug listeners before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
DEA's National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day helps remove opioids and other medicines from medicine cabinets where they can be stolen or abused by family members or visitors, even children and teens. The next Take-Back Day event is Saturday, April 25th, offering free and anonymous disposal of unneeded medications at their drug locations, including pills, patches, and other forms of prescription drugs, as well as liquids and coffees. To find a Take-Back Day location near you, visit DEATakeback.com.
Joy starts simple, like how Lay's Classic starts with new farm North American potatoes. They've made their crisp potato chips salted to perfection.
Wisconsin. Excellence Community Schools is looking for special education teachers, educational associates, and distinguished leaders like you. For 20 years, they have been serving Bronx elementary and middle school students and their families and communities. As a proud three-time National Blue Ribbon Award recipient, their success is built on passion, dedication, talent, and experience. Join them and inspire excellence. Apply now at excellenceschools.org. That's excellenceschools.org.
The music you love is all right here on the TuneIn, bringing you good vibes of the hottest hits. But are you ready to own things up even more? Just upgrade to TuneIn Premium for all of our exclusive music channels, completely commercial-free, so you can love today's hits. Or Century Road. And everything else. Hear it all here, commercial-free on TuneIn.
The Jack FM guarantee admits one stinker in every bunch of socks. Tell Alexa to play Jack FM on TuneIn.
Jack FM. What you want.
Thank you for joining the Blizzard Double Flip Deal. For a limited time, when you buy one Blizzard treat, you get a second for just 99 cents. That's 2 blizzards, 2 spoons, 2 flavors, and 2 flips. So don't miss out on the Blizzard Double Flip Deal available only for a limited time and happening now on DQ. Because the only thing better than a Blizzard treat is a second Blizzard treat for just 99 cents. It's a deal to live for. The Blizzard Double Flip Deal. Get it now. Participation required.
It's time to completely curious the things you can do.
TuneIn is not your favorite podcast or sports news special interests. Did you know that you can listen to all your favorites offline? It's simple. Just head to any podcast page, tap the 3 little dots next to the episode title, and hit download. Whether it's true crime, lifestyle, health, and science, or anything else, stream your favorite podcasts and listen to them anytime, anywhere.
Sound familiar? Mattress foam means you're standing on many bodies that can keep you up at night, like snoring, aches and pains, or sleeping hard. Our sleep experts have the right to know how to match you with a mattress that can help. And now at Mattress Firm, save up to $600, plus get a free adjustable base for select smooth posture-beating mattresses. What is it you deserve? Visit Mattress Firm. We make sleep easy. Restrictions apply. See store website for details.
Corporate parties. David Morris,
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
it's what we were taught, trained, and told to do.
Everything. However, listening to a fellow veteran for hours, many hours a day.
Or just simply making time for people. A neighbor, a loved one, or even a stranger.
More often the first thing I notice. There's no question about it. And we only have one question for the veteran closer. When was the last time you reached out?
Perhaps it's time to do for yourself what you would do for others.
If you know someone who needs resources, whether it's stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out. Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Health and the Ad Council. Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
This is the podcast Spotlight Hour on Bloomberg Radio.
I'm Michelle Casey, and you're listening to the highlights of the Michelle Casey podcast on Bloomberg Radio. Today, I'm speaking with Olivia Willoughby, who's been one of Pakistan's top diplomats, and the role her country's playing in the war. I do want to ask you to look at the further and whether you think this union will mark the start of a different world order, where Americans learn that if they start wars, they can start them today and the conflict will fall out. And where are the political dynamics
think the word in any case is moving towards the goes up to global world, if I put it that way, and that US dominance is fading. As you fade, there is a common military might of the United States and Israel. Take another country that was momentarily much weaker, whose allies in the region have also been weaker, and yet that country resisted. And what does that say? What that says is that America's dominance, and the era of America's dominance in the region, is basically over. It also shows, I mean, in the case of my country, and the role Pakistan played, it shows the advent, the importance of militaries that are now able to shape geopolitics. So Pakistan, in this war-between nation, has established itself as a grand power which has the capacity to influence, if not shape, international politics.
Is there any reason in that, though, perhaps democracy in Pakistan, in that the key player that we see in all of this is an unelected army officer?
Welcome to Pakistan. That's where we learn a lot about history. And yes, I mean, we have in place a hybrid government, which means a combined ship between civilians and the military. And in this particular case, it was the military that was conducting much of the diplomacy. And I can't say that balance there was a long popular. So the civilians also was involved. The entire force was international and military. That's the nature of politics and government in Pakistan.
When you say believing that dominance is over, just explain how you see that playing out in the Middle East. Because President Trump is saying he thinks that this could be the golden age of the Middle East, and America has all these bases in the region. What happens, do you think, in the long run, or even the medium, to those bases in the
Yeah, I mean, when I say that the era of American dominance is over, I think there would be rethinking of the US. What is the point of having thousands and thousands of US troops based in the region when they can't, on their own, determine what happens in the region? They can't shape the Middle East the way they wanted to before. I mean, Iraq is one example that you mentioned before. I mean, what did they do there? So, I mean, it's still a process. It's not as if this war has never stopped. The process is already happening. The US dominance in the world, actually not just the region, is beginning to be replaced by the fact that power is being dispersed amongst many different places. Not just one country being able to get the outcomes that it wanted. It could only get the outcomes that it wanted in cooperation with other countries, something that President Trump clearly doesn't believe in. So he decided to act unilaterally, and of course he had a full partner in Israel, who had consulted his allies. So I mean, we're looking at a very different world, not just because of the war, but because the war has reinforced certain trends that were already in play.
But if there is one thing in all of this, would you say it was China? And to which extent do you believe it has been involved in bringing this about?
I mean, they've been one of the Chinese eventually persuaded Iran as a particular communications with the United States. I have no idea about the veracity of these reports. But certainly when you say China is a beneficiary, yes, I think one could say that because what this entire episode has shown and highlighted is that America is unstable leader, and that's unilateral policies and acts unilaterally. But China, on the other hand, is a force for stability in the world, and that's how the leader is concerned also. And this always happens to be true. I mean, both countries have trading agreements now with China. China is a bigger trading partner of most countries in the world. I'd say that absolutely, it's absolutely accurate. But China is the largest trading partner. Many Asian countries are the largest trading partner. India is the largest trading partner. But also United States and China. So what does that say? What it tells us is that China is a force that creates stability, but the US is being run by a man who conducts himself in such a whimsical manner, as if his disrupted so much of the world. Global trade, and of course it's been engaged in this war of choice. So the people have lost this thing.
Paint a picture then of Gulf and South Asia, say in 20 years' time, a bit of that time frame. Do you think it is going to be a more settled place, or do you think what has been unleashed, this kind of instability, is too immense for the situation to go back on the rocks it was in and start here?
But certainly the pace has changed forever. It will not be status quo ante at all. Things are not going to go back to the way they were before, that's for sure. Now what remains? Yes, it depends. Okay, I think real life has started taking this. The reassessments that many countries will have to carry out. And what happened because many of them are taken back by the United States. Many think that American security order was going to be shot. It was probably not to that. Because America defended anyone. America defended Israel. And Israel always has a battle for them. So, a lot of the dynamics in the West will probably shape these kinds of assessments and calculations. Certainly, we're not going to be into a period of immediate stability. I think that one can conclude. But there could be a period where the US will increasingly withdraw, which is what Trump had said in the first place in his national security strategy. And then withdrew that far working with depending on the realignments that will take shape there.
You talked about this being a moment for the middle powers. From the Indian perspective, the strategy has never been for Pakistan to be in that category of middle powers. Whereas actually in the last few weeks we've seen Saudi Arabia working on this. We've seen Turkey working on this. The Pakistan's Prime Minister has thanked Qatar and Egypt as well. Where do you think this leaves India?
I mean, right now on the wrong side of history. They just lined up with the wrong countries. They broke from the traditional position of support for the Palestinians. As I said, they applied action to Israel and supported Israel. Whereas they had a good relationship with Iran. Deep cooperation and trade with Iran. All of that went out of sense when the Indians decided, or rather, Prime Minister Modi's party, who came from a domestic political fire from the opposition, who said, why are you reversing India when the well established foreign policy, which is what he did, yet you didn't trample India and quickly reversed and upended many of India's traditional alignments. So, I mean, they've been sidelined by all of this. Now, whether that leads to a reassessment by India, I don't know. I think the policy is very important because in a way it helps Pakistan to extricate itself, if I can put it that way, not that it doesn't need to extricate itself, but diplomatically extricate itself from South Asia and become a player in one bigger canvas, which is the Middle East. I mean, not that it's new, it has played this role before, but it has in recent years become rather more focused, let's say, on India and its eastern borders rather than the western, rather than the western frontier.
The complexities of Pakistan and the Middle East, the Prime Minister of Pakistan being on the board of peace, an organization, if one can call it that, which it's perfectly clear President Trump would like to be an alternative to the UN. How does that square with having principles on peace and stability and supporting long-established international organizations?
I think it's critical. Pakistan joined the Board of Peace, so you asked me that question. You are sort of asking somebody who's already there, saying my country should have lined up on that because it was so much more that President Trump really wanted. He wanted to legitimize his Middle East land for Gaza. And I didn't think that Pakistan should be a party to that. It seems like they've been on board of the Board of Peace. And I mean, it's tragic that the Palestinians and their issue has been again, overshadowed, sidelined by this war that was imposed on Iran.
Just before we let you go, a final question related to your long experience as a diplomat. If you could give advice to the people who are face to face with each other in the United States, what would you say?
which is enough to take over others and so on. As much as we push your own interests, and therefore we need additional flexibility. So let it calm down and we follow whatever we got having to do. Anyone ready? Thank you very much. Suggestions?
Thank you for listening to some of the highlights of the podcast. To hear the full conversation, please subscribe to the Michelle Hussein Show. Wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Michelle Hussein, and this is
Broadcasting 24 hours a day. Bloomberg.com and the Bloomberg Business Network have more than 3,000 journalists and analysts and over 100 videos around the world. This is Bloomberg Radio. Now, an update from our partners at CBS News. News on Power. Your home for regional reporting.
Possible Pakistan between the US and Iran ended evident war with the British agreement. CBS's Matthias Brown reports from Iran.
Now talks, including multiple calls to President Trump, Vice President Harris urged at 6 a.m. local time.
We make very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And as clear as we possibly could. And they have chosen not to accept our terms.
In terms of the agreement regarding the Islamic jurisdiction by Iran versus the US over. Now that negotiators have failed to reach a deal with Iran, President Trump told Fox News that the US White House blockade for 24 minutes. The president also added that this crisis has been linked to Iran's as a member should have stepped up his hand to win. Even negotiators say the US and the lead not to his help. The president also has said we can see nations now help of course, as the US supposed blockade restraint against the Islamists. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has decided to using to consolidate political power. This is hoping for that outcome. Orban has led the country for 16 years. President Trump has now explained that already forming the Democratic team, and the president has repeatedly endorsed that the Hungarian leader, while President J.D. Vance materialistically agreed, and concluding was the lack of language are on the finish. Over the weekend, protests in Europe, which are the White House police needed to establish the list of the 500 people affected by the protests in Palestine. The British declared that a terrorist organization which makes shows of support for the group a criminal offense here. Protesters are vehemently divided between the military against Israel, those who oppose the group, a violation of freedom of speech. Scotland Yard says the arrestees ranged in age from 18 to 87. The director of CBS News. The Super Bowl absolutely is now one of the nation's movie theaters for another weekend. The movie set to total another $69 million. This is CBS News. Take control of your financial life. Money Walk with Jill Scott on the free podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, we are on archive. Watch the American. Looking at the old sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the press. They really need to support the president's families and get the tax donations. William and Gunn, your call for party. All you gotta do is right now and make it free. Now is the perfect time to do something good for the vets. Get back to the vets right now. All they've done for this nation. Your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-640-9509. 800-640-9509. 800-640-9509. That's 800-640-9509.
Congress talking about those Japanese cherry blossom trees in Washington's capital.
It's just exciting. Yeah, the trade block is being shown up to everybody.
There are 250 new ones each year on American Europeans, especially in Japan, where President Xi wants to wage a peaceful
Every country wants to get in here.
the ability to Republicans made these tariffs, but those trees are still pretty exciting. Michael Toscano, CBS Washington.
Demolition experts have conducted a controlled implosion of the former winery-oriented mine on Brickell Key, a healing mine on the Miami River. It took only 20 seconds to burn down the 23-story building. CBS.
Here's some of the stories we're watching. Pakistan says talks between the U.S. and Iran were constructive this weekend, despite both sides leaving the country without a peace deal. But Bitcoin dropped right after that news. It's now down more than 2%, trading around $71,000. Oil and gas markets are likely to see a jolt tomorrow morning. But Amrita Sen is founder and director of market intelligence, and she says this could just be the beginning of a true supply disruption.
All the buffet that people have been talking about, the oversupplied oil market, that has gone. The fact that there have been attacks reduces the volume of spare capacity available to the market going forward as well. So this is the biggest energy shortfall in history.
Market intelligence director Amrita Sen on Bloomberg this weekend. Even if this conflict wraps up quickly, she says it could be months for certain countries to bring production back up to normal. The war in Iran has also wreaked havoc on consumer prices and consumer sentiment, as evidenced by updates late last week. But in the week ahead, we're set to hear from a few of the war's financial beneficiaries. Bloomberg's Angelo Day explains.
The impact of geopolitical uncertainty will be watched closely as banking giants including Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley, and Citigroup all post results. We get news of record trading revenues for the just finished quarter, driven by intense market volatility incited by the Iran war. Also this week, we get several quarterly numbers from regional banks, with the market interested in what recent volatility and borrowing costs has done to their loan businesses. Angelo Day, Bloomberg Radio.
We'll also get a snapshot of how businesses are feeling when the monthly sentiment index from the National Federation of Independent Business is released on Tuesday. And add Alaska Airlines to the growing list of carriers raising baggage fees now to offset rising energy prices. Vivian Mastros, a travel expert for Go.com.
It's really a win-win for the airlines and a lose-lose for travelers, especially when, yes, base fares have increased. Domestic prices for summer, just for example, according to our Going data, up 18%. International fares up 7.5%. Unfortunately, this summer specifically is really going to be challenging for that cost-conscious traveler.
Go.com, Vivian Mastros tells Bloomberg this weekend cruises could raise prices next amid fuel shortages. News 24 hours a day and whatever you want on the Bloomberg News Network.
Injured in a car crash? Call the 8 for a free consultation. Your Salino attorney looks out for your physical, financial, and personal needs. At Salino Law, you pay no fees unless we win. And we know how to win. Injured in a car crash? Call the 8.
Tune in town to
for everything sports on you, with live sports and a full lineup of podcasts, sports talk shows, look at all the sports action you'll ever need. Get updates on your favorite sports games and alerts when they play. Just follow your favorite teams on TuneIn and you'll receive notifications. Plus, you'll also get recommendations based on your favorite teams. Start following your team and stay in the loop.
Bloomberg Business app, or wherever you listen. This is Bloomberg Business Week Daily, reporting from the magazine that helps global leaders stay ahead, with insight on the people, companies, and trends shaping today's complex economy. Plus, global business, finance, and tech news as it happens. Bloomberg Business Week Daily with Carol Nassar and Tim Stenovec on Bloomberg Radio.
Hi everyone, welcome to the weekend edition of Bloomberg Business Week. Another week where the conflict in the Middle East left markets in a state of flux after threatening that whole civilization will die if Iran did not reach an agreement by 8 p.m. Tuesday night. That was, of course, from President Donald Trump. He ultimately reached what many have termed a fragile ceasefire with Iran, at least for now.
attack from Lebanon. As we said, a developing story quick and as we wrapped up. For the latest on what's going on, head over to the Bloomberg on to Bloomberg.com.
Also a focus this past week, the release of the minutes from the March President meeting. Those detail the committee closely monitoring how these geopolitical tremors could affect long-term British outlook and the longer-term geopolitical framework and weapons used by nations, increasingly economic ones. We study Iran's use of the Strait of Hormuz in the war with the U.S. and Israel. One former State Department sanctions official puts it, Iran using America's playbook against us. He's the author of Choke Points. That's all about economic warfare. He joins us. Let's do it.
Plus, earnings season kicking off for real this coming week.
I hate being in a rut. I also hate being harassed. Sevasati Prajang Piaha Paripang Layam Tang Nya Yana Mai Dena Mahim Mahisha Gobra Humanoid Piaha Shupamasutu Nityam Toka Samasata Sukino Pabamtu Shanatiha 吃完送到2 minutes. I'm gonna use the restroom. Okay. 2 minutes. Muting the muting the mic.
Okay.
The United States efforts of cutting off our access to a choke point. They retaliate. They show that if you impose pain on the U.S. economy, you might get the U.S. to back down, even if they're not giving any concessions. Iran, spent years negotiating on its nuclear program. They got some sanctions relief, right? In the 2015 nuclear deal, the U.S. waived secondary sanctions, so it allowed the European banks, Asian banks to go back into Iran, but they didn't allow U.S. financial institutions to do so. Iran, by weaponizing the Strait of Hormuz for a few weeks, did get the U.S. to actually agree to allow them to use the financial system. So you just think about the lessons for both the Chinese embargo on rare earths and the Iranian cutoff of the Strait of Hormuz. Both showed that when you retaliate against the U.S., when you use choke points to hurt the U.S. economy, you definitely get more concessions when you can use the plus.
The United States have long been at odds with one another. Do you think that the reason why other presidents have not gone after Iran the way this president has is because they knew about the economic power that Iran could have over the stroke partners?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, what motivated
Iran being attacked in the past.
Yes. I mean, what motivated me to go into government 20 years ago or whatever was trying to come up with a way to curtail Iran's nuclear program without using military force. That was the goal in the Bush administration. It was the goal in the Obama administration. What we did in the nuclear deal, we got a limited deal with Iran, right? It wasn't perfect, right? Iran could still support Nazis. They could still have missiles that didn't make us feel good. But we didn't fire a single shot, right? We just used economic pressure. I think the reason that neither the Bush administration or the Obama administration wanted to start a war with Iran was because they knew that it could go very wrong, right? They could close the Strait of Hormuz. I think the thing that is most surprising though is even back then, when we thought about Iran closing the Strait, we thought they would do so by virtue of laying hundreds, if not thousands, of these sea mines. And when you lay mines, I mean, they don't discriminate whether you're carrying Saudi oil or Iranian oil. So it's carrying Iran's oil oil exports. And so we had a little bit of comfort.
적어서나 못 바꾸는
Suicide. But what Iran has done, right, before the New York Times essay, is that just by getting a small number of commercial vessels with these cheap drones and missiles, they changed their risk calculus.
Welcome to the real world.
And so they actually
You can't just do show bombs, not do that for
everyone
us.
else's oil gets through, but Iran's oil is getting through in record numbers in the last 2 years.
So the former State Department Pentagon official, was there intelligence background?
From what we know so far, it seems like the intelligence actually was pretty good. That, Dan Payne, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who's clearly a professional, did put the risks on the table. My assumption, if I had to sort of, having been in a situation and sort of how these things play out, my assumption is that Trump is a little overconfident. And by the way, you can understand it. Think about his previous 2 military operations. Operation Midnight Powder last June, where this 12-day war, no American casualties being taken off large parts of Iran's nuclear program. And then even more miraculously, earlier this year, the operation in Caracas, where Nicholas Maduro's wife was picked up a couple miles from here in the metropolitan detention center. I mean, you start thinking maybe military forces have an easy button. And so my hunch is that he did get pretty good advice from the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs from one of his predecessors, General Marty Dempsey. Those guys are very professional. I think Trump was a little overconfident.
So, given all of that, what we've seen thus far over the last 5 years, what we've seen on Iran, the demands that Iran has versus the demands that the U.S. has, is there a chance, in your view, that the U.S. and Israel could exit this conflict and Iran wouldn't stop enrichment of nuclear weapons?
I don't think so. I think that we're at a point right now where the choices are we either cut a deal that leaves us worse off than we were before the war started, but prevents us from, potentially getting drawn into a quagmire, or we escalate militarily. I mean, you think about the math for Iran right now, right? They've established control of the Strait of Hormuz. That's something they didn't have. Right? They're now institutionalized about charging up to $2 million a ship. Before this war, there was about 140 ships that went to the Strait of Hormuz every day. If you do the math, that's about $100 billion in revenue for the Iranian government. They're not going to give that up easily.
Well, is that possibly, we talk about regime changes and a new way forward for Iran within the region. Is that possibly a way for it to have a new way forward, or is that just a way to fund its nuclear ambitions, its weaponry, and, its various terrorist groups?
Yeah, I do not see the new Iranian government deciding to go on nuclear weapons. If anything, I just read it was actually Ayatollah Khomeini now cease almost a nuclear. It was always a little bit lukewarm on nuclear weapons. He definitely wanted to have an option to nuclearize, and that's why they had a full-scale enrichment program. So they're trying to put a threshold nuclear state. But there was definitely an intelligence assessment that he actually decided to build weapons, right? I mean, they've got this on Twitter, they built 10 bombs, and they never actually built them. I mean, with the younger generation in power now, particularly with the IRGC, clearly sort of at the driver's seat. I mean, all evidence suggests that they're the ones who put in Ashtanga. I mean, they're running the show. They do want nuclear weapons, and you can understand why. When you look at the countries that do have nuclear weapons, like North Korea, they don't get bombed by the U.S.
So they double down, essentially.
I think so. Yeah, and that's why I think that I'm not resting easy yet that this war's over, because I think that the new status quo will be so bad that actually might incentivize more attacks from the U.S. and Israel.
Well, I'm reporting about what led to this, and that will come out. There was that great piece in the New York Times earlier this week,
and it had to do with intelligence from Israel that was presented to the president in the situation, and part of that included the running people rising up and potentially taking control of the government. Protests in Iran, why have they been largely silent during this war?
Look, this is one of the more complicated aspects of analyzing this conflict, because I think we need to be clear. The Iranian regime is awful, right? I mean, just earlier this year, they killed at least 10,000 of their own people who were protesting peacefully in the streets. So we would all be better off, and Iranians probably most of all, if you could get rid of the Islamic Republic. I think the key to this calculation, though, that the Israelis and I guess in turn the U.S. made, is to think that the Islamic Republic was a rather shallow state, right? That if you just took out the top level of the government, everything would collapse. I think what they showed is that it's actually quite a bit deeper than that. And so I think that, right now the prospects for regime change look poor. And just to quickly answer your question about why you don't see more people in the streets, this is a common sort of thing that we see. When you're under the party, you have a rally on the flag, people don't want to go out of their homes. They just want to hunker down.
Yeah, real quickly, 25 seconds. Next potential big checkpoint, is it China, Taiwan, semiconductors?
I think the future choke point that I'm worried about right now is actually clean energy technology. I think one of the easiest bets coming out of this war is that American allies in Europe and Asia are going to double down on electric vehicles, batteries, solar panels. And guess what? You know who controls all of those choke points? China.
That was Eddie Fishman, director of the Center for Geoeconomics at the Council of Foreign Relations. He's also author of the book Choke Points, American Power in the Age of Economic Warfare.
Coming up, a 170-year-old brand that created a category and continues to reinvent it.
Levi President and CEO Michelle Goss is in the house to talk about the denim lifestyle. This is Bloomberg.
Jack FM, now playing what we want, commercial free on TuneIn Premium.
What you got for me, Jack?
Upgrade to TuneIn Premium and get Jack FM commercial free.
The biggest classic rock hits do just that. They hit hard. And on TuneIn's Classic Rock Hits, you'll find only the best in high-octane awesomeness. We're talking rock gods like Led Zeppelin, Kiss, AC/DC, and so many more. So for those of you about to rock, search Classic Rock Hits or ask your smart device to play Classic Rock Hits on TuneIn.
Rolling out budget on metrics that look great until the CFO sees them. That's Bill's found. And marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
I remember telling my boss, it'll be good for the brand when leads were slow. Yeah, it wasn't.
Cut the bull spend. LinkedIn lets you target by company, job title, and more. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
The music you love is all right here on TuneIn, bringing you good vibes and the hottest hits. But are you ready to blow things up even more? Just upgrade to TuneIn Premium for all of our exclusive music channels, completely commercial free, so you can learn today's hits. Lord Century Roads. And everything else. Hear it all here, commercial free on TuneIn.
Rainbow Spread Spinach is the best. A secret family recipe so bold, zesty, hands down.
It's Hidden Valley Ranch Dip Mix.
What?
The secret. I just use Hidden Valley Ranch Dip Mix to pack my spinach dip with bold ranch flavor.
So, your famous dip is a legendary secret recipe.
Why does everyone think that? Just use Hidden Valley Ranch Dip Mix.
Visit hiddenvalleyranch.com to get this recipe at home with your next family gathering.
Spring showers bring epic off-road adventures. So bring on the mud and bring on the spring at the Honda Spring Event. Honda vehicles are built for exploring with the rugged Honda Pilot, Ridgeline, CR-V, and Passport. The road might stop, but you're not done. All from the 2025 Kelly Blue Book Best Value Brand.
Rolling out budget on metrics that look great until the CFO sees them. That's Bill's found. And marketers are calling it out in Dashboard Confessions.
I remember telling my boss, it'll be good for the brand but leads were slow. Yeah, it was.
Cut the bull spend. LinkedIn lets you target by company, job title, and more. Advertise on LinkedIn. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a $250 credit. Go to linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Hot Mike's now streaming on TuneIn, your go-to show for sports, politics, entertainment, tech, and pop culture. Hosted by me, Billy Bush. Get unfiltered takes, in-list guests, real talk, no fluff. Search Hot Mike's and tell your device to play Hot Mike's on TuneIn to start listening now.
The music you love is all right here on the TuneIn, bringing you good vibes and the hottest hits. But are you ready to amp things up even more? Just upgrade to TuneIn Premium for all of our exclusive music channels, completely commercial-free, so you get more of today's hits. Century Roads. And everything else. Hear it all here, commercial-free on TuneIn.
This year, don't let dry eyes win. Use Sustain Pro. Its triple action formula hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Sustain Pro, saving the world from dry eyes.
This is Bloomberg Business Week Daily with Carol Nasser and Tim Stepback on Bloomberg Radio.
From the cowboy Carter effect with Beyonce to massive engagement fueled by the success of the streaming series Love Story, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, consumers have really remained that timeless 90s era American heritage aesthetic that defines a generation. One brand that really positioned itself at the center of it all, Levi Strauss, and to be fair, they've been putting jeans on people for like the first century.
Yeah, they know. They kind of know what they're doing.
It's amazing how like great this side goes, but even like younger generations coming back to it.
What's old is new. So, this week, Levi Strauss raised its projections for the year after reporting earnings multiple weeks. It's fueled by a massive strategy to move away from department store shelves and into the hands of consumers.
Leading that charge is Michelle Ross, who joined the company as CEO just over 2 years ago. She'll join us right here in our studios. We are seeing momentum across the board, which is around our strategies really picking up and accelerating. So we delivered 9% organic growth, 14% on a reported basis. We are seeing this across geographies, we're seeing this across categories, we're seeing it across genders, we're seeing it across channels. Why is this happening? Well, it's the brand, it's the product, and it's the execution. And all of those things are working. And I gotta tell you, the team is doing a phenomenal job of coming off of a solid year last year, and it's accelerating right into 2026. So then, though, it's such a fun category. I don't go to certain department stores or because it's just too much for me, but I do go to Levi's. And I thank you for that. You're welcome. And I said to you coming in, my 23-year-old, she's wearing it. That's where she wants to go. You talk about your wife. You are hitting a lot of different demographics. How do you do that? How do you appeal? Yeah, well, I would say it does start with a brand. And we like to say that Levi's operates at the center of culture. And we're hitting a new stride with the brand. I mean, the brand has been strong for a long time. Last year, it went up a notch with this fantastic partnership with Beyonce. That moved into a partnership with Shabuzi. And this year, we launched our brand campaign at the Super Bowl. And it was the perfect time because the Levi's Stadium was hosting the Super Bowl. We hadn't done Super Bowl in over 20 years. But it wasn't about launching an ad for the Super Bowl. It was about launching a campaign. We call it Behind Every Original, which is a global campaign and leans into what Levi's does best across sports, across fashion, and music. And so if you've seen the ad, it really does bring that to life. And it has artists like Doshi or SGA or Superstar, great, and Rosie. And let's talk about Rosie because here is this, she's a part of Blackpink. 90 million followers and growing, and we're rolling that right into a collaboration with her in Asia. So that is taking off as we speak. And so this is about launching, like I said, a campaign for the year. Looking ahead, we've got World Cup coming up. The stadium is hosting. We have collaborations. We had our collaboration with Nike and Jordan a couple months ago. With the mining,
with the artist, I know each one of them is different, but in terms of, are they coming to you, or are you identifying them and you're going to them? How
No,
organic is it?
it's all of the above. Well, so and it happens organically. I mean, literally, what just at the Brits, we had Harry Styles dancers all wearing bandhas. I mean, this is about being in the center of culture. And the Beyonce partnership that started because she wrote a song called Levi's Jeans. We've been friends with Beyonce for decades, back to the '90s, or Carolyn Bessette, 517s, the love story. It's heavily featured in sales are about 25%.
Did that surprise you? Like, oh, when did you first all of a sudden notice? Like, we talked about this on air, the impact of this.
Yeah. Well, the '90s, we've known about the '90s trend for a long time. And that fact, when you go into our stores, online, go to our wholesale partners, I mean, that '90s trend is all, Levi's is all over it, from top to bottom. I mean, one of the things we talk about when you ask about what's working, we talk about our 2 key strategies, which is about becoming the more DTC forward company, and also evolving the brand from being about jeans to head to toe. We say denim lifestyle. What does that mean? It means that we want to give you the whole wardrobe. It starts with the jeans, but tops, button downs, jackets, outing, dresses, all through the lens of Levi's, but we're playing now in the total apparel space.
Michelle, perhaps it's a good segue to talk about the macroeconomic environment and potential disruptions or disruptions you've seen from higher transportation costs as a result of bringing these products from overseas into the U.S. and indeed around the world. What has this macroeconomic backdrop over the last 5-6 weeks done for your business?
Yeah, well,
Over the last year, when I think about tariffs,
it's been a really uncertain time. I take a step back, think about the company, Ellis and Co. We've been around for 170 years. We've weathered lots of storms and navigated, and it goes back to who we are as a brand. During times like this, people do. We have to deliver, we have to execute, but they really do go to brands that they trust, that they love. We offer quality, we offer great value, we offer durability. To date, our consumer has proven resilient. I mean, you see that in our numbers. We are bringing in a lot of innovation. I think, pressures come on the consumer when the wallets get tighter. We have to up our game, right? Wallets get tighter, we have to work harder, and that's what we're doing. We offer great red tab right down the middle. We offer signature by Levi Strauss, which is an awesome value. That business was up 16%. It's in the $20-$25 range. And then we have the blue tab, premium Japanese denim, and you can buy a pair of jeans from Levi's now at like $200. So we're serving every customer need, but know that we are constantly just making sure that we can address the needs of the consumer in the moment, whatever that moment may be.
We're talking fashion, not talking the collaborations. I also do love the nitty-gritty of like supply chains and what a company like you that has been around for so long and seen a lot of different market cycles. What is your supply chain, and have you kind of spread it around based on what we've seen, not just in the last year, but even coming out of the pandemic that reminded us that supply chains can be impacted dramatically when they're focused in one area?
Yeah, that's right. We have a robust, very diversified supply chain across many, many countries. We have a really strong team that is agile and responsive. And these relationships with our suppliers go back decades and decades. So we have tremendous partnerships. And as we've navigated things like tariffs, everybody has stepped up to help us, determine what the next steps are there. Just to put it out there on tariffs. I mean, everything that we've got in the street includes tariff assumptions on, call it the original reciprocal tariffs at a higher rate, at that 20% incremental rate. There's been recent news of it going down back to 10%. We haven't baked that into our numbers yet. One can say that is upside there. Could mean up to $35 million in EBIT or 7 cents of EPS. But we've held back, just knowing that there still is uncertainty out there, as you're saying.
One question we asked outgoing CFO Herman saying in the last year, the wake of tariffs has been about moving production to the United States. He said, no way, that's not happening. Are you sticking by that?
We're sticking by that. Yeah, that is an industry that really has shifted overseas. And like I said, because we have these enduring, long-lasting relationships, I know we'll be able to navigate whatever they have on that front.
All right, so a company like you guys, over to you, like, hey, listen, well, I'm curious about your prospects for reaching $10 billion in revenue. 5 years, 7 years, how are you guys thinking about it?
We have not put a number out there, or a date out there.
Momentum, like, do you think you can get this momentum? And how far can you carry it out?
Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable?
Yeah, what I can say, and I think it's important have goals, right? So yeah, put the 10 billion, put the 15% EBIT. I think if you look at the progress over the last couple of years, take revenue. We came off with 7% growth last year. That was up from the prior year. This year, we're again guiding mid-single digits. We just had a blowout quarter at up 9%. So I think it's safe to say that you can count on consistent, sustainable growth. And then on EBIT, on profitability, we're making that march to 15%. Again, a few years ago, we were 9, 10%. Last year, about 11.5%. We just said we're taking our guide up yesterday to 12%. So you see that sequential progress, and keep doing that. We'll let you guys do the math. Okay. But we're I mean, like I said, the exciting thing we are, if you have visibility, the strategies are working. We've made some choices the last couple of years. We sold the Dockers brand so that we could really focus on the Levi's brand, and there's so much opportunity.
So certainly fashion's working in your favor right now, but we know the industry is fickle, the consumers are fickle. Well, what happens, or what do you do rather, to make sure that when the trends do change, you move with them?
Yeah, well, as the category leader in denim, let's start there. It's our responsibility to fuel the trends. The denim category is growing, it's accelerating right now.
I have more denim in my, no, seriously, in my wardrobe that I haven't in a long time, and I can tell you more.
But what I would say though, with this evolution to denim lifestyle, or I'll say lifestyle, head to toe, that's not all denim, right? It is fine if you're buying a rib cage, wide leg pair of jeans, what's the perfect top that goes with it, which is going to be different than a low rise. Right. And so now that we're playing in this broader space, which basically increases our addressable market by 15x. We're playing in that $1 trillion market in apparel. That requires focus and discipline, but we really up-leveled our capabilities to do that. And we just take this last quarter, our tops business was up 13%. It's only 20% of the business. So when you think about all that upside, so we now, and 40% of our business is non-denim. So it's not just denim anymore for Levi's.
So what is the biggest opportunity or categories that are not yet tapped that could be big for you guys?
Yeah, I would say a couple things. First, when you think about gender, women's is not quite 40% of our business. Last I checked, women's has a big play in the apparel market.
Closets a lot bigger than men.
Just saying. But so there's still that should be at least half the business. So we're expecting tremendous growth there. I was just talking about head to toe. We always be the leader in bottoms and denim bottoms, but tops. So in our business, we sell 2 bottoms to every top, which by the way, that used to be like 5 bottoms to every top. That should be the other way around. Minimally 1 to 1. That is all white space for us. And then we have amazing growth ahead of us in expansion. There's still room to grow in the U.S., but when you think about international markets, in some cases, we're just getting started there. So as we look ahead and say, how are we going to go from 6 point something to 10 billion, we can chart that out and feel very confident.
Thanks to Michelle Goss, President and CEO of Levi Strauss. That stock, by the way, jumping the most in about a year following its results.
Still ahead on Bloomberg Business Week, the 10 companies to watch in the second quarter.
Everything from a high-end automaker to a sports gambling platform to, yes, a big global brand.
That list is coming up next. This is Bloomberg.
Real talent is defined by what?
Initial results show opposition leader Peter Moscow's party dominated the election. Moscow is a former government insider and political newcomer who's promised system change, and his letter is optimistic. CBS News Special Report, Mike Babosh.
And I'm Monica Rizzo, the Bloomberg producer. Here are some of the stories we're watching. President Trump says the U.S. plans to blockade the Strait of Hormuz after talks collapsed with Iran this weekend in Pakistan. Former National Security Advisor John Bolton supports it.
If no Gulf Arab oil gets out, no Iranian oil gets out. Let's see how they feel about that.
Bolton on Bloomberg this weekend. A blockade would sever a key financial lifeline for Iran, which has continued to export at levels similar to before the war, while benefiting from surging crude prices. Meantime, Saudi Arabia says it's restored full pumping capacity on the east-west pipeline to 7 million barrels a day, rehabbing vital link for oil exports through the Red Sea following the strike last week. The kingdom has ramped up its production since the war started in February to get around the near closure of Hormuz. Here at home, the war's pushed inflation higher, mostly thanks to higher fuel prices, and that's pinching Americans' wallets. Jack Barnes in Indiana.
What are we doing? You know, we're ruining our position in the world. We're being the bad guys. We're ruining the world economy. We're gaining nothing.
According to AAA, the national average is now $4.12 a gallon. Bank earnings are in focus in the week ahead. Here's Bloomberg's Karen Moscow.
Goldman Sachs kicks off the Wall Street quarterly earnings rush on Monday, but trading revenue and credit conditions in focus amid geopolitical tensions. We're also going to look at existing home sales. Tuesday, JP Morgan Chase, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo report, and we get another look at inflation-driven user price index. Bank earnings continue Wednesday with Morgan Stanley and Bank of America, and the Federal Reserve releases its beige book. Thursday, we get the weekly report on initial jobless claims, industrial production, and earnings from Netflix. Karen Moscow, Bloomberg Radio.
You may think playing video games all day is a waste of time, but the federal government now thinks it could be a runway towards a new career path. Bloomberg's Nathan Hager explains from Washington.
It's not a game, it's a career. That's the tag to this new ad campaign from the Federal Aviation Administration and Transportation Department pitching gamers to be air traffic controllers. It starts with the Xbox logo, then shifts to flashy graphics, telling gamers they've trained for this all along and touted their six-figure salaries. It's an unconventional recruitment tactic, but the agencies say that's the point. Airports are still short more than 3,000 fully certified controllers. In Washington, I'm Nathan Hager, Bloomberg Radio.
Global news 24 hours a day and whenever you want it with Bloomberg News Now.
The music you love is all right here on the TuneIn, bringing you good vibes and the hottest hits. But are you ready to amp things up even more? Just upgrade to TuneIn Premium for all of our exclusive music channels, completely commercial-free, so you get more of today's hits. More Century Roads. And everything else. Hear it all here, commercial-free on TuneIn.
TuneIn's How To. A brief look at all the special functions and things you might not know we have.
Get into the game with your favorite teams and never miss a game. Follow your teams on TuneIn and get live updates. Just select teams you want to follow on TuneIn, and you'll get notifications like when the games start. Enjoy all the recommended stations, sports talk, and podcasts. Just favorite your teams and start listening.
This year, don't let dry eyes win. Use Sustain Pro. Its triple action formula hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Sustain Pro, saving the world from dry eyes.
Nothing sets the tone for your day like country hits. That's why TuneIn's exclusive Country Roads is here to make your journey just a bit better. With classic, feel-good country songs to bring summer vibes all year round. TuneIn's Country Roads are yours. For the best in country music, just search Country Roads or ask your device to play Country Roads on tuning for a little summer hospitality.
Grand Central's AI receptionist uses voice AI to answer on the first ring, so you'll never miss a call again. In just a few minutes, you can personalize your own AI receptionist to answer questions, route calls, schedule appointments, and even send texts in multiple languages. Plus, it's easy to scale. Create unlimited AI receptionists across any phone system. It's all powered by
scalable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at RingCentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
Nothing sets the tone for your day like country hits. That's why TuneIn's exclusive Country Roads is here to make your journey just a little better. With classic, feel-good country songs to bring summer vibes all year long. Guitar funk hits you just can't get enough of. TuneIn's Country Roads are your route for the best in country music. Just search Country Roads or ask your device to play Country Roads on TuneIn. A little southern hospitality now.
Daily commute doesn't have to be boring. TikTok brings podcasts, news highlights, mini learning clips. 10 minutes, one new idea. Turn traffic time into upgrade time. Download TikTok now.
Group chat getting quiet? Drop a TikTok clip. Trends, memes, hot topics, instant reactions, endless replies. Keep the vibe alive. Download TikTok now.
Whatever you're in the mood for, TuneIn has the music to match. From today's hits to timeless favorites and new discoveries. It's all streaming in one place. Discover stations that fit your vibe and keep the music going all day long. Just search music or ask your device to play your favorite music station on TuneIn.
When equipment breaks down and operations come to a halt, every single second counts. So why is your maintenance team spending 60% of their time doing anything but turning wrenches? MaintainX is the AI-powered maintenance and asset management system that helps your team get back to actually fixing breakdowns. No more searching for manuals, no more hunting down parts, no more drowning in paperwork. With MaintainX, your team can access manuals from anywhere, create new procedures in minutes, and turn voice notes into clear and complete work order feedback. What used to take hours now only takes minutes. Keep your operations moving and your wrenches turning. Join over 13,000 maintenance teams that are already fixing more and filing less. Try MaintainX for free today. Go to maintainx.com/AI. That's maintain and the letter x.com/AI.
Save your life one day.
Nathan Baker, Bloomberg Radio.
This is Bloomberg Business Week Daily with Carol Nasser and Tim Stenovec on Bloomberg Radio.
Our Bloomberg Intelligence team is amazing. You hear from them on our program almost every day. They're all over the world. They're out in the field. They talk to executives and customers. They crunch numbers. They're in their Excel docs. They're listening to earnings calls. They're doing everything. They're writing research. You got to do the research.
They're a gift, man, to us every day.
Yeah, if you're not new to our program, then you know that each January the team produces this list of 50 companies to watch at the beginning of the year. Tim Craighead is the man behind that list. We're so happy to have him. Tim Craighead, Bloomberg Intelligence Senior European Strategist. He's Director of Research Content. He joins us here in the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers studio. Welcome.
Nice to have
Pleasure
you
to be here. Okay, the headline is so good. Ferrari's Advil and AI chips. 10 companies to watch right now. The big question that I think everybody asks is, how do you whittle down? How do you whittle down? Except for the Ferrari.
Yeah, okay, that's a minor thing.
Everything
else, yes.
How do you whittle this down, not just from the 50 companies in January, but from the universe of companies that your team follows?
Yeah, so we cover 2,500 plus companies, so it's a lot of companies. And we have a list of ideas, we call focus ideas, that are high conviction, fundamental calls. You know, we think revenue is going here, margins are going there, that is against consensus in some way. Market things differently.
Yeah.
And there are catalysts ahead that we think could be triggers to change the market mentality. We got about 125 of those currently. We zero in on the 50 for the year ahead because there's catalysts coming up in the new year. And these 10 are just a subset. It's a different 10. None of these were on the 50, but 10 companies that have got sector or specific catalysts ahead that we think are important.
So do you come to these names, Tim, by doing some, I don't know, algorithm or something, or do you, or discussion, or a combination of both?
It's a really good question. These are bottom-up analyst opinions.
Yeah.
So, you know, you say Ferrari.
Yeah.
Sorry. Mike Dean is
EVs and other things, but this is certainly higher end, and so it's product innovation, models, but it's also like we've got happier consumers out there who to spend.
Well,
Or is that part of it?
It is. It's interesting because, not to go too much down the rabbit hole, but the European auto sector in particular, which you think Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, and Ferrari, among others, yeah, they had a really great idea coming into 2025 that ended up being a car crash. Sorry, all these puns. Because the world was moving up EVs and lots of investment in it, and then not. And China was a big customer, and then it wasn't. And all of that hit in 2025. Looking here and now, we've got an awful lot of costs that have been taken out. The franchisers are still quite good. People still buy Beamers. People still buy Ferraris. And those who can buy a Ferrari aren't really impacted by some of the things going on in the world of geoeconomics these days. And they've got a 3-year wait list of stuff that costs a lot of money.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Even though the average price has jumped 24% in the past 5 years, still remains sold out through 2027. Serious pricing power.
Yeah, and the F80, which is the new supercar that's starting to ramp, and the Lux electric are one of, or two of 20 new models coming over the course of the next couple of years. It's an ongoing flow.
Who are you running next? Do we do it? Okay, good. Talk a lot about this space.
AI. Yeah, this one's kind of cool. We've got a few different focus ideas that are different flavors of what this one specifically is. It's about chips. Who is the big chip company that everybody focuses on? NVIDIA, of course. That makes the graphic processors that are powering the LLMs. What Broadcom has found that it has are customized, what are called ASICs. They're specialized chips that don't train the big LLMs, but they are very task specific and are great and a lot cheaper at doing the same thing over and over again. So when you start doing the inferencing or the using of AI for specific tasks, use your XPU, and it's going like weeds.
Which is really fascinating because the AI conversation, if you think about it, what we're in our 3rd or 4th year of having it, and just how it's evolved, inferencing is something that we hear more and more.
The shift from training to inferencing is actually starting to use this business.
But like Ferrari, there's a new product release.
Yeah, well, it's the ongoing development and use of XPUs as inferencing takes off. That is the new product story. The other, not to totally jump if you don't want to, but the other new product that's interesting is Dexcom, which is probably a company that most of your listeners aren't familiar with. Medical devices. They make glucose monitors for diabetes, and it's wearable, which is great. They've had a 10-day model out, so you're talking not pricking your fingers. It's a vast change in quality.
I know folks who have these monitors, they're game changers.
And the new one that's now wrapping is a 15-day, not a 10-day. And so it extends it and it's more profitable for the company.
And of course, if you have a 10-day, that gives me a reason to buy that 15-day. The 10 days change your life.
Yeah.
If you spend more time without having to prick your finger,
you stay with it. And there is insurance coverage of these monitors, so think about that in terms of marketplace.
Elizabeth Rodriguez, we had the Dexcom president and CEO take a leave job.
You did?
Back in January.
You did?
So you missed that conversation.
Yeah. And it wasn't. It was kind of cool. All right, where do you want to go? So that's new product innovation. You do have like major themes, so competition, financial goals.
What do you want to do?
I kind of feel like we should do financials. I think we have things going on. So yeah, we have time. But so talk to us, because you do have several financials. Deutsche Bank, Japan Exchanges, Magellan. So tell us a little bit about the financials.
So Deutsche Bank, so these are broad ranging for sure. Touch on various different elements. But one of the things with banks is it's a bigger pulse of the economy. And Deutsche Bank sits in Germany. The big stimulus driver for Europe is the German stimulus package to drive both defense and infrastructure investment. That drives local lending, local business. We're doing geometric spreads are also wide structures.
Yeah, I was interrupted. I was interrupted. I was targeted 5 times or more that time. Good thing I had this protect my shavasana, work for an hour, and then somebody or more than one person mess with you 5 times at least. I counted at least 5 times I was target harassed. Good thing I have my weapon with me. I didn't go. See, once I let my shavasana go to waste about 3 times in the past because of the targeted harassment. So, wow, I saved my shavasana today. Thank you very much. Have a good night. No, check out. No,